Martin Daubney erupted on GB News in a fiery clash with former Labour Minister Ivor Kaplan over a petition demanding a fresh general election. With over 2 million signatures and growing, the public's frustration has reached boiling point. But Kaplan's casual dismissal of the petition as a bit of fun set the stage for an explosive debate, with Daubney accusing Labour of hypocrisy. "It was different with Brexit, wasn't it?" Daubney thundered, laying bare what he called Labour's double standards.
2.25 million and rising, a clear message being sent out to the Prime Minister. They've had enough of this Labour government after only 5.5 minutes. And don't forget, Sir Keir Starmer himself, he was the one who wanted a second vote when he didn't get the result he wanted over Brexit. In fact, he led the People's Vote campaign to overturn the democratic vote of 17.4 million Brexiteers. So if he didn't get the result he wanted then, aren't the public entitled to say, well, we didn't get the result we wanted now, and there should be a second general election, Ivor?
No, basically, Martin. It's nice to see you, but the answer to that is no. General elections are dealt with properly by Westminster, by all those involved, and it's very simple. That an election is called by the Prime Minister, as he did this year, and the election then takes place. It's very simple, and that's how we operate in the United Kingdom. And whoever is responsible for this bit of fun, which is what it is, I suppose, I'm afraid that a general election is not permitted, and it's not going to happen. So we can easily forget that. The issue relating it to the Brexit thing is, of course, Brexit was a one-off event. This is not. This is the general election, and it's clearly stated how and when it can happen.
Ivor, that's the exact point. Oh, you know, it was different with Brexit. It was different. And now it's suddenly, no, that's not how we do things in Britain. This is another example of Sir Keir Starmer wanting different rules when he loses.
No, Martin, that's not true. That's not true. He's not running this. So for a start, he doesn't want a general election, and he's not going to have one because the rules don't allow him to do that, unless he really wanted to. But he's not going to do it after 4 or 5 months. Look, there's been a lot of activity.
Well, they might lose.
In trying to start getting things moving in the direction that they want to see. You can't say that after 4.5, 5 months that the government should not be allowed time to actually develop the things that they want to do.
Ivor, you can't.
14 years we spent with that government, the Conservative government, dealing with absolute nonsense.
This petition isn't just a few disgruntled Tories, it's 2 million people who believe you've gone back on your promises. How can you stand there and laugh at them? Kaplan doubled down, arguing that the government needed more time to repair what he called 14 years of Tory destruction. He insisted it was unrealistic to expect a complete overhaul of the country's issues within a matter of months. You can't say, after 4 or 5 months, that a government should be thrown out. We need time to fix the absolute nonsense we inherited. But Daubney wasn't letting up. He highlighted how the petition gained traction largely due to perceptions that Labour had abandoned key campaign promises. From tax hikes to the controversial decision to cede sovereignty of the Chagos Islands, Daubney painted a picture of a government out of touch with its voters. You promised to be different, but now we're seeing the same old politics, if not worse. The petition's creator, Michael Westwood, also weighed in, releasing a statement earlier that day. "This isn't just about policy disagreements, this is about integrity," Westwood wrote. Labour campaigned on honesty and transparency, yet here they are mocking the public and breaking promises. Keir Starmer himself addressed the petition during an interview on Good Morning Britain, dismissing it as an expected response from those who didn't vote Labour. "I remind myself that very many people didn't vote Labour at the last election," he said. "I'm not surprised some of them want a rerun, but that isn't how our system works." Daubney seized on Starmer's comments, accusing the Prime Minister of being tone-deaf. 2 million people aren't just sore losers, he argued. They're citizens who feel betrayed by a government that promised change, but has delivered nothing but disappointment. Meanwhile, Labour's troubles didn't end with the petition scandal. Public outrage over the government's decision to cede sovereignty of the Chagos Islands to Mauritius added fuel to the fire. The decision has sparked protests both in Mauritius and the UK, with demonstrators accusing Labour of selling out British interests. In October, Starmer announced the deal as a way to secure the future of the military base on Diego Garcia, a key strategic asset for the UK and US. However, critics argue the decision undermines British sovereignty and sets a dangerous precedent. Tory MP Brendan Clark-Smith warned, "Next, it'll be Gibraltar or the Falklands. This is not a serious government." Protests have erupted outside the British Embassy in Mauritius and in Hackney, East London, home to the UK's largest Chagosian community. Demonstrators carried signs demanding to be included in the negotiations, with one placard reading, "Respect Chagosian's voice. Chagosian British remains British." Misley Mandarin, a representative of the British Indian Ocean Territory Citizens Group, called the decision a betrayal. "If Labour can do this without consulting Parliament or the people, they can do it to any British territory. There is no trusting them," he said. Labour has defended the deal, emphasising that the military base remains secure under a 99-year lease. Starmer described the agreement as a seminal moment in resolving long-standing disputes peacefully. But his assurances have done little to quell the backlash. The Chagos controversy has further eroded public trust in a government already under fire for its handling of domestic issues. Critics argue that Labour's tax hikes and spending plans are stifling growth and failing to address the root causes of economic inactivity. Businesses have warned that the recent rise in national insurance will make it harder to hire more people, adding to the government's mounting challenges. In an effort to regain control of the narrative, Starmer announced new job reforms aimed at boosting employment and productivity. These include rebranding job centres as the National Jobs and Careers Service and providing mental health support to reduce economic inactivity. However, the reforms have been criticised as vague and lacking urgency. Shadow work and pensions, Secretary Liz Kendall defended the plans, saying they would tackle the biggest drivers of unemployment. "We inherited a broken system, and these reforms are the first step in fixing it," she said. But the opposition wasn't convinced. Conservative critics accused Labour of dodging tough decisions on welfare reform. Labour's proposals show they're not prepared to take the hard choices necessary to bring down the benefits bill, one MP said. With controversies piling up, Labour faces an uphill battle to restore public confidence. From the petition scandal to the Chagos protests and economic concerns, the government is under siege from all sides. The question now is whether they can weather the storm, or if public pressure will force their hand. One thing is clear: the calls for accountability aren't going away anytime soon. And with Martin Daubney and others keeping the heat on, Labour's promises of change and transparency are looking more fragile by the day.